Hi Reddit, I'm a 17-year-old girl and I don't even know how to process what just happened in my life. I've been writing and rewriting this post in my notes app for days because it feels too absurd to be real. But it is real. It happened. And I can't stop replaying it in my head. My parents have been together for 25 years. Not married, just together. Everyone always joked about it, how they didn't need a piece of paper to prove their love, how they were the ultimate team, how they were already married in every way but legally. Growing up, I thought it was kind of romantic. Unconventional, but stable. They were my definition of home. Then, a couple of months ago, they announced, very casually, over dinner, that they were finally going to get married. I remember dropping my fork in shock and then squealing. I had tears in my eyes. I kept saying, finally. Oh my God, finally. I imagined being a bridesmaid, maybe even maid of honor. I imagined helping my mom pick out her dress, helping with flowers, maybe doing a funny little speech at the reception. I thought about how someday I'd show my kids the pictures and say, yeah, I was right there when my parents tied the knot. But here's the thing. That dream? It never happened. In fact, I wasn't even invited. At first, I thought it was some kind of misunderstanding. My mom was on the phone all day with vendors, caterers, florists, laughing, making notes, scribbling things down on the family calendar. My dad was stressing about the venue, talking about music playlists, making toasts. And I was just watching. Hovering on the sidelines, waiting for my role in all of this to be handed to me. Except it never was. One day, when my mom was flipping through dress catalogs, I asked, "So when are we going shopping? I'd love to help you pick your dress." She looked at me blankly for a moment and then said, "Oh, honey, this is going to be an adults-only wedding. You don't need to worry about it. Adults only." I laughed because I thought she was joking. I'm 17. Not a child. And besides, I'm their daughter. What kind of wedding band's their own kid? But she didn't laugh with me. She just kept flipping through the magazine like the conversation was over. At dinner that night, I brought it up again. I said, "So, just to be clear, when you say adults only, you mean, like, no toddlers or little kids, right? But obviously I'll be there." My dad put down his fork, sighed, and said, "Sweetheart, this is going to be a very elegant event. It's not really the place for teenagers to hang around. You'll understand when you're older." I just stared at him. My chest got hot, my throat tight. I said, "I'm your daughter. How can your own daughter not be at your wedding?" He gave me that look, like I was being dramatic. "It's nothing personal. We just think it'll be better this way. You can celebrate with us afterward." Celebrate, afterward? By myself? The weeks leading up to the wedding were like living in some weird fever dream. Every corner of the house was filled with boxes, ribbons, programs, fancy printed menus. My parents were buzzing with excitement. My relatives called constantly, leaving voicemails on the landline about how they couldn't wait to celebrate. And I was invisible. My aunt texted me, "Can't wait to see you at the wedding. Do you have a dress picked out yet?" I didn't know what to say. I just left her on read. Then my cousin called. "So what are you doing for the ceremony? Are you walking down the aisle with your mom?" I choked up. I told her the truth, I'm not invited. She didn't believe me. She thought I was joking. When I swore I was serious, there was a long silence on the line. Then she muttered, that can't be right. Maybe they just haven't told you yet?" I wished so badly that was true. In the meantime, my parents started treating me like background noise. Whenever I asked questions, they'd wave me off with lines like, "This is an adult event, sweetie. You'll just be bored. You don't want to sit through hours of speeches and toasts. It's complicated, you wouldn't understand. But I did understand. I understood that they didn't want me there. What crushed me wasn't even the exclusion, it was the casualness of it. They weren't angry at me. They weren't punishing me. I hadn't done anything wrong. They simply forgot I mattered. The closer the wedding day got, the worse it felt. I'd walk past my mom's room and see her twirling in front of the mirror in a gown I'd never get to help pick out. I'd hear my dad rehearsing his vows, lines I'd never witness. I'd see the pile of invitations stacked on the table, golden envelopes with everyone's name on them, everyone but mine. Sometimes I thought maybe they had a surprise planned. Maybe they were just pretending to exclude me, and then on the wedding day they'd sweep me into the limo with them, say, "Gotcha. Of course you're part of this." I clung to that fantasy way too long. But then, 2 days before the wedding, my grandma called. She's one of the kindest people I know. She asked gently, "Sweetheart, what time are your parents picking you up for the rehearsal dinner?" And I broke. I told her everything. I sobbed into the phone. There was a long pause, and then she whispered, "Oh, honey. I don't know what to say." That was when I realized, it wasn't a mistake. Everyone else had an invite. Everyone else was expected. Everyone but me. On the eve of the wedding, the house was chaos. Luggage packed, gifts stacked by the door, champagne chilling in the fridge. My parents were glowing, laughing, almost giddy. They barely noticed me slip out to the backyard. I sat on the swing, staring at the stars, feeling like a ghost in my own family. When I came back inside, my mom was fastening her jewelry into a velvet case. She looked up and smiled at me, like everything was normal. "Don't stay up too late, sweetheart. Big day tomorrow." Big day, for them. Not for me. That night, I lay in bed scrolling through my phone, dreading the morning. I already knew how it would go. I'd wake up to an empty house. They'd be gone, off to start their new chapter. And I'd be here. Alone. Pretending not to care. But the truth was, I cared more than anything. Because I wasn't just missing a wedding. I was missing my family. Update from OP, still a throwaway. Saturday didn't feel like a wedding day. It felt like an empty hotel room after checkout. The garment bags, the glitter, the last-minute to-do lists, vanished. No note, no "be good," not even a crooked lipstick kiss on a napkin. Just a faint crescent of nail glitter on the kitchen table and a ring of water where my mom's glass had sat, proof that I hadn't dreamed the last month. At 8:07 a.m. I texted the family chat, "Good luck today. I love you." At 8:12, "Can I come to the ceremony, back row, promise I won't make a fuss." My dad's phone went straight to voicemail. My mom's rang twice and died like it was embarrassed for me. I cleaned a clean counter. I made eggs, ate 2 bites, threw the rest away. Outside, our street sounded aggressively normal, sprinklers ticking, a dog discovering birds, someone arguing lovingly with a lawn mower. I showered and put on a sundress, then changed back to sweatpants because every mirror in the house felt like a witness. At 10:03 my grandma called to ask what time they were picking me up for the rehearsal. When I told her again I wasn't invited, she was quiet so long I thought the call had dropped. "Honey," she whispered finally, "I'll speak to your mother." I begged her not to, because begging felt like my only skill left. By noon the family thread turned into a faucet you can't shut off. Flat lays of invitations, boomerangs of clinking flutes, my mom's ring hand posted, "For nail inspo." I told myself to stop looking. Then I told myself I had to keep looking, because not looking would feel like agreeing. Neither argument helped. At 12:41 my mom finally texted, "Sweetie, it's about to start. We'll call you later." I typed, "Please. I can sit in the back." I erased it. The typing cursor blinked like a metronome measuring my humiliation. I reacted to her text with a thumbs up because my hands didn't trust me with words. The ceremony started at 1. I know because at 1:03 my cousin Zoe sent a vertical video from the last pew. The music sounded like melted sugar. The chapel doors opened and my mother, floated in on a spill of light. She looked breathtaking and very far away, like a lighthouse I wasn't allowed to reach. I put my phone face down as if it were a weapon and I couldn't be trusted with it. I paced. I folded laundry no one had asked me to fold. I googled adult-only wedding etiquette teenage daughter and learned nothing except that advice columns don't hold you while you cry. My phone pulsed, group chat, then Instagram, then Facebook. People you may know are attending an event near you, my phone offered cheerfully, which is a poetic way to say, you are not. At 2:14 Aunt May posted a photo of my parents at the altar, clasped hands, glossy eyes, caption, after 25 years, finally saying yes to forever. The comments filled with, about time, crying, perfect. Then somewhere in the middle, where's OP? Isn't she there? My mother replied 6 minutes later with a soft focus lie, she has COVID. We didn't want to risk anyone. I read it twice before my body reacted. My scalp prickled. My mouth tasted like pennies. It wasn't enough to exclude me, they had written my absence as kindness and handed it out like party favors. I texted, I don't have COVID. I texted my dad, why are you telling people I'm sick? Delivered. Seen by no one. Grandma called again. Are you ill? She asked, already walking somewhere, her steps were thunder in my ear. I told her no. Then they shouldn't have said that, she murmured. Do you want me to come get you? I pictured her arriving with righteous fury and me becoming the interruption they'd warned each other about for years. No, I said. Please don't make a scene. She exhaled like the air had edges. A scene has already been made, darling. You weren't the one who made it. At 3:02 the reception began according to everyone's stories. Napkins fluttering, a donut wall with my mom's name in cursive sugar, the DJ tagging the venue with "Vibes Immaculate." On my dad's selfie, confetti in their hair, 2 champagne glasses at the edge of the frame, someone asked again where I was. He answered, our girl is resting. She didn't want to risk anyone. Our girl. I didn't feel like anyone's anything. I told the family thread, please stop telling people I'm sick. No reply. Instead, a video arrived of their first dance. It was unbearable how beautiful it was, the room focusing around them like a hand cupped to a flame. I didn't cry. I was past crying. I was something thinner and sharper. DMs trickled in. So sorry you're sick. We saved you a slice of cake. Do you want me to pick you up lol? Zoe, again, trying to turn a kidnapping into a kindness. My dad texted, let's talk later. Please don't start anything today. I stared at the phrase start anything until it peeled back and became don't make us look bad. More comments asked about me. For every question there were 2 uploads to bury it. That's how the internet works, drown anything tender in confetti and filters. On the venue's grid, beneath a professional shot of my parents under the arch, the account itself answered a stranger, wishing their daughter a speedy recovery. My mother's lie had franchised. Maybe that should have scared me quiet. It did the opposite. If fiction could travel this fast on good manners and call itself grace, then truth deserved at least 1 seat in the car. I went to the bathroom and looked at myself. I didn't look dramatic, I looked tired in a teenage way. I opened the top drawer and took out one of the school-issued rapid tests my mom had stockpiled for emergencies. I held the box a long time, because naming a thing out loud makes it real. Then I set it beside the sink and didn't open it yet. There's a difference between anger and action. I needed the second one. The house had that late afternoon hush where appliances become audible, the refrigerator's low hum, the water heater ticking like a bug. I sat on the hallway floor where the Wi-Fi is best and scrolled because motion felt like control. I drafted 10 texts and deleted 9. The 10th I sent to Zoe, "Don't show my mom anything yet." She replied with a heart and, "Call me after." After what, neither of us said. At 4:21 a.m. neighbor texted asking if she could drop by with the books I'd lent her. My fingers typed, "Sure, I'm home," and then hovered, because the truth is heavy when you've been made into a lie. I backspaced and put the phone down. A new notification replaced it, Aunt May's thread again, a stranger commenting, "Is OP okay?" My daughter had COVID last month, so scary. My mom responded with 3 weepy emojis and, "She's heartbroken to miss it, but we're keeping everyone safe." Keeping everyone safe from me. That sharpened everything. Not louder, cleaner. I opened the test. Swab, swirl, drops, wait. I set a timer. While the minutes counted down, I stared at my reflection and tried to find the version of me who would post about any of this. She didn't look brave. She looked like a girl who'd been asked to carry everyone's comfort down the aisle and leave herself at home. The timer beeped. 1 line. Negative. My chest didn't soar, it settled. I took a photo, not for drama, but because I wanted a record that didn't belong to anyone else's caption. I put the cartridge on a white towel, wrote the date and time on a sticky note, took another shot. The truth looked small and neat, like something that could fit in a pocket. Somewhere, the cake wobbled, my dad steadied it, the comments flooded with, "That's marriage." I didn't feel married to them. I felt divorced from the story they were telling about me. By early evening the sunlight went honey thick. I sat on the front step and let it soak into my arms. Cars drove by and strangers yelled congratulations at the air because joy splashes. My notifications kept blooming and wilting. I didn't mute them. The sound felt like a metronome pacing me toward a choice. Inside again, I placed the test on the towel and framed the shot properly. The line, the timestamp, my steady hand at the edge but not the focus. I opened Facebook, then closed it. I opened Instagram, then closed it. I wrote a caption and deleted it. I reminded myself of the thing my mother always says, "Some things are private." Then I answered back, half out loud, "Privacy isn't a muzzle you strap on your kid after you've told a public lie." I didn't post. Not in this chapter. But the lie wasn't alone anymore. The truth had a shape, and it lived on my camera roll waiting, patient as a heartbeat. Dusk leaned against the windows. In the family thread, fireworks went off over the venue's outdoor patio. Someone wrote, "Best party of the year." Someone else, "To forever." I put my phone face down. I washed my hands. I made tea. I looked at the single line again and felt, for the first time all day, steady. Before the sun slipped, I opened my closet and stared at the line of dresses like they were jurors. The blue one my mom says, makes your eyes pop, the black orchestra dress that makes me feel like punctuation, a floral one I bought for a cousin's graduation. I tried the blue, then took it off, then put it back on. In the mirror I looked like a guest at a life I wasn't invited to. I laughed, one short, hiccuping sound, and it startled me. A DM blinked from one of Dad's colleagues, "He talks about you all the time. Get well soon, kiddo." The words should have warmed me. Instead they slid off, like lotion when you're already burned. I typed, "Thank you," and didn't send it. Politeness felt like a costume I didn't fit. I don't know who I'll be when I press share. I just know she'll be me, not the character they wrote to make the story easier to swallow. And I know the next part is coming. Update from OP, throwaway still. At 6:03 p.m., with the house dimming into that gray-blue that makes everything honest, I opened my camera roll and chose the photo, the white towel, the neat cartridge, the single, stubborn line, the sticky note with the date and time in my small, careful handwriting. My thumb hovered like a lifeguard deciding if the water is safe. It wasn't. I jumped anyway. Facebook first, because that's where the ants live. I wrote. Not sick. They just forgot me. Happy wedding, Mom and Dad. I attached the photo. I stared at the cursor at the end of Dad until it felt like a dare. Post. Instagram next. Same caption, same image. I added no filters, no stickers, no gentle softening. I wanted the truth to sit there, unairbrushed. Share to story and share as post because I wanted it to live short and long, flash and fossil. Then silence. Or, not silence, anticipation has its own sound. The fridge hummed. The house settled. Somewhere in the neighborhood a screen door banged and a kid laughed. My heart tried to climb through my throat. It took 12 seconds. Aunt May commented a single question mark. Under my Facebook post, like she was paging the manager of reality. Then cousin Zoe DM'd 3 clocks and I'm here. Then the dam broke. Likes. Comments. Shares. The notification bell tried to sprint and tripped over itself. On Instagram, the viewer count on my story ticked up so fast it became nonsense. People I barely knew from middle school sent hearts, then long paragraphs, then screenshots of my parents' posts with, "Are you serious?" On Facebook, under my photo, the first wave rolled in, all foam and confusion. Aunt May, sweetheart, what do you mean, forgot? Grandma, I am coming over. Neighbor Karen, this must be a misunderstanding. Of course they invited you. Dad's coworker, Paul, your dad adores you. This can't be right. Then the second wave, heavier. Zoe, I'm at the venue. People are whispering. Your post is on at least 3 phones around me. My old piano teacher, my heart hurts reading this. A friend's mom, adults only should never mean excluding your own child. I'm furious for you. And then, because the internet loves momentum, strangers. A woman from Ohio, this was my mom with my graduation. I am so sorry. A man from Toronto, when parents choose their optics over their kids, they lose both. A handful of people told me to respect your elders, or take this down, or don't ruin their day. The angry and the tender braided into a rope and began to pull. By 6:11 p.m., someone had screenshotted my post and dropped it into a wedding gossip group. My notifications turned into a storm. On Instagram, bigger accounts with names like at Wedding Fails and at Family Tea requested permission to repost. I didn't answer. They reposted anyway. My DM requests became a landfill of microphones, local radio, a blog called Youth and Boundaries, a TikToker with a ring light in her profile pic, a podcaster who wanted a quick chat for tonight's episode. I gripped my phone and felt like it was driving me somewhere and I hadn't asked where. Zoe called. The music behind her was bright and sticky. They know, she said. Like, no. Someone showed your mom during the toast. Behind her, a metal clink, forks on glasses. Oh, she said softly. Your dad just put his mic down. What do they look like? I asked. I don't know why that mattered. But it did. Your mom looks, not crying, but the kind where your face is like a held breath. Your dad looks like he's doing math in his head and all the answers are taxes. We stayed on the line, not talking, listening to the distant sound of a party learning that the story had a second narrator. At 6:17 p.m., my mom texted, delete that now. We'll talk. Then, this is cruel. Then, because she's always been a drafts and revisions kind of person, another message, we can explain. The 3 bubbles came and went like sirens. My dad called. I watched his name vibrate across the screen and didn't answer. He called again. I didn't answer. He switched to text, please. This is getting out of hand. You're making a scene. I typed, you made a lie. I didn't send it. I typed, you left me. I didn't send that either. Instead I sent nothing and let his empty blue bubble sit there like a dare he'd flung and then stepped behind. On Facebook, Aunt May again, I did not know this was adults only for their own daughter. This is not okay. A cascade of older relatives, some defending, some condemning, the family tree suddenly a debate stage. Uncle Tom, kids don't understand boundaries. Grandma, a sniper with a floral avatar, 17 is not a kid when it is your child. I was not informed of this policy either. Each comment arrived with the weight of years. Family history hung its portraits on my post and glared. On Instagram, my classmates poured in. This is insane, dude. Remember when they made you leave the room during New Year's and said, adult talk? It's been building. Want to come over? We have nachos. Someone made a meme with the negative test lined up next to my mom's caption, keeping everyone safe, and the text, from what? I laughed, ugly and short. Then I felt bad for laughing. Then I didn't. By 6:25 p.m. #NotSick started trending in our city. That's when the real strangers arrived. A nurse, as a healthcare worker, misusing the language of illness to hide social choices is harmful. A wedding planner, I've seen adults only used to exclude teenage kids of previous marriages, it's always a disaster. Somebody from a TV show DM'd, producer here, can we talk? I imagined my life as a segment between weather and traffic and felt something in me lock the door. I posted a comment beneath my own photo. To clarify, I asked to sit in the back. They said no. Then they told people I was sick. I am not. I am home. I added no emojis. People began replying to me directly, hundreds of threads unfolding like paper fans, advice, sympathy, burn it down, go to the venue, call a lawyer, honey, breathe. Grandmothers and teenagers and a man who said he hadn't spoken to his parents in 10 years told me their versions of this same day. Grief braided itself into a choir. At 6:32 p.m. The venue's Instagram, which had cheerfully echoed my mother's speedy recovery, edited their caption to remove me entirely. Someone screenshot the before and after and posted it in my comments, even the venue is backpedaling. Under that, my mom, on her own profile, posted a picture of the arch and wrote, "A beautiful day with the people we love." No one believed her anymore. The top comments were all variations of, "Where is your daughter?" and "This isn't beautiful." She turned off comments. Then she deleted the post. Then she reposted a different angle with, "Grateful." The comments returned like floodwater. Another text from my dad, "We can pick you up for a late dessert here. Please. Take the post down first." I pictured being smuggled in the back door, the music quieter, the light harsher now, every face turning to watch me enter like a cough during a sermon. I pictured my mother's hand being careful with me the way people are careful with a fragile object they resent owning. I put the phone down. I made myself inhale until my ribs stopped rattling. Then my phone lit up with a name that still felt like home, Grandma. I answered. "I'm outside," she said. I looked through the peephole. There she was, small and furious, hair set like a helmet, her good coat on. I opened the door and she scanned my face like a scanner trying to read a barcode through glare. "Not sick," she said, more to herself than to me. "No fever, no cough. Just heartbreak." She sat at our table as if she owned it, because in a way she does. She took my phone gently and read. Her mouth thinned, then softened. "You wrote clean," she said. "You didn't name call. You didn't insult. You simply told the truth. She tapped the photo of the test. And you illustrated it. I don't want to ruin their wedding, I said, the words spilling like water in a bathroom with a locked door. I wanted to ruin the lie. Sometimes, she said, a lie is load-bearing. When you pull it out, the whole structure groans. She squeezed my hand. That doesn't make you the earthquake. My phone buzzed again. A new number. This is Pastor Lee. I'm sorry to intrude. Your parents asked me to ask you to consider the spirit of the day. I stared at it. The spirit of the day felt like a balloon labeled joy, tied with a string labeled silence. I typed nothing. Zoe sent a photo, my mother in the bridal suite, veil off, phone pressed to her cheek, the makeup artist standing back like a firefighter who knows this fire is not theirs to fight. My father beside her, shoulders stacked as if holding up a roof. Their eyes didn't look like my parents', they looked like two people who had carefully built an image and were watching termites with my face chew it. At 6:49 p.m. my mother called. I answered. Her voice was raw velvet. Honey, she said, and the word cracked like an egg. Please take it down. Why did you tell people I was sick? I asked. A beat of song filtered through from the reception, something buoyant, cruelly cheerful. It seemed kinder, she said. We didn't want questions. We wanted, she trailed off. A perfect day? I offered. A peaceful one, she corrected, as if peace and perfection were cousins that sometimes borrowed each other's clothes. We didn't want drama. You made me into the drama to avoid being the cause of it, I said. You edited me out and then airbrushed the whole. She inhaled, held it. It's an adults-only event, she said finally, as if reminding me of the law of gravity. This is a boundary. It's an exclusion, I said. A boundary keeps harm out. This kept me out so your Instagram could look clean. She didn't have a ready script for that. Please, she whispered, and I heard, underneath it, a rustle of another voice, my father, coaching lines. People are upset. Good, I said, and the honesty of that shocked me. They should be. She flinched. We will talk tomorrow, she said, returning to the safety of plans. We'll explain everything. Explain it to the comments, too, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. They seem curious. She hung up. A minute later, my father texted, this is not a negotiation. Then, you are hurting your mother. Then, be better than this. Be better than this, I whispered to the empty room. It sounded like a charm people say when they want you to shrink into the shape they've already drawn. Grandma poured tea neither of us drank. Sometimes you have to be the person who says the quiet thing out loud, she said. It's the only way the next conversation can start in truth. At 7:03 p.m. my Facebook post passed 5,000 shares. The comments had stratified into complicated geology, family at the top, acquaintances underneath, strangers in layered sediments of empathy, fury, cautionary tales. Someone from our town paper emailed. Someone from my school's PTA messaged my mom in her comments, oops, they were still on for 3 whole minutes, this is unacceptable. A girl I sat next to in 9th grade bio wrote, my mom excluded me from her engagement party because her fiancé didn't like me. I moved out at 18. I'm rooting for you. A handful of people told me I should have kept it private, that public shaming is ugly. I agreed with them about the ugliness. I didn't agree about the shape of the shame. On Instagram, a verified therapist account stitched my story into a video about familial enmeshment and image management. The caption, when a child is asked to disappear so the family looks good, that's emotional abuse. I didn't know if I was ready for that vocabulary. I only knew that the word disappear made something deep in my ribs nod. At 7:19 p.m. my mother tried a new tactic. She posted a black square to her stories with white text, please respect our family's privacy during this special time. The replies she let through were all hearts from her friends with handles like Tina Loves Tulips and Yoga with K. But everyone else screenshotted and moved the conversation to my page, where privacy had already been made into public currency by her earlier lie. Dad texted again, "We will come home after the send-off. Please be there. Delete the post. We love you." The words "we love you" sat there like a couch too small for the guests it tried to seat. I wanted to lie down on it. I wanted to set it on fire. I did neither. Instead, at 7:33 p.m. I posted one more thing on Instagram, a static slide in plain text. I'm not trying to ruin anything. I'm telling the truth about being excluded from my parents' wedding and being lied about publicly. I won't discuss details here tonight. I'm safe with my grandmother. That is all. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and sat back. The quiet arrived like a power outage. In the dark of it, I could hear distant music again, someone's playlist, not ours. Grandma slid the tea closer to me. "You can turn it all off," she said. "I turned it on," I said. "I should see it through." "Seeing it through can include resting," she said, and because she is the only person whose advice doesn't feel like control, I listened. I put the phone screen side down and focused on the cup's thin rim against my lip, the way the heat climbed the mug and into my hands. I had expected to feel triumphant or terrified. What I felt, weirdly, was aligned, like a picture finally straight on a wall, showing its true horizon. The doorbell rang. Grandma and I looked at each other. On the porch stood Aunt May, cheeks blotchy, shoes in one hand like she'd run out barefoot and remembered at the curb that she was an adult. "I had to leave," she said, breathless. It felt like clapping for a play where the lead actor is missing. She put her shoes on my mat like an apology. "Your father tried to say you were confused," she said. "Your mother cried without letting tears fall. The pastor asked everyone to pray for your health. And the DJ announced dessert." She looked at my phone on the table. "I am not a person who approves of airing laundry," she said carefully. "But I am a person who approves of saying the truth when the lie is hurting someone more than the truth would." She hugged me, not gently. "I am sorry we all went along." Behind her, twilight collected on the street like permission for lamps to be brave. Somewhere, a car honked twice, the party's send-off, maybe, the sparklers, the arch of hands, the escaping couple who didn't look back. My phone, face down, buzzed like an insect trapped under glass. I didn't flip it. Grandma made more tea we didn't drink. Aunt May took off her earrings and put them in her pocket like a metaphor. We sat at the table and breathed in a room that had not seen any of today's vows, and yet held all of them now, not the ones my parents spoke to each other, but the unspoken ones I finally spoke to myself. I will not erase myself to keep a photo pretty. I will not accept the word boundary when the meaning is banishment. I will not be sick so their story can be well. At 8:04 p.m. I lifted my phone and looked. The numbers had grown the way wildfire grows, fast, directionless, hungry. The top comment was from a girl 2 towns over. I was the secret at my mom's wedding. I stood outside the fence and watched. "Thank you for posting." I didn't know I was allowed to call it what it was. I replied, "You are." It felt like planting a flag in scorched ground. Another ping, local news wants to talk. Delete. National morning show. Delete. A non-profit that supports estranged teens. Star. I wasn't sure yet what future me would need, but that one sounded like a bridge instead of a spotlight. There were more angry messages, too, a man with a bald eagle avatar calling me ungrateful, a woman with faith in her bio accusing me of violating the 5th commandment as if Facebook were Sinai. A cousin I barely know wrote, "Family first," under every thread like a motto carved into a gate that only swings one way. I didn't argue. You can't change a slogan by commenting on it. At 8:27 p.m. Zoe sent one last photo, my parents in the back of a car strung with tin cans, sparkler lights splintering on the windows, their faces caught between a grin and a wince. Underneath, she wrote, "They're headed your way." I turned off Do Not Disturb and put my phone in the bowl by the door. Grandma, without being told, started clearing the table as if making space for a conversation is a form of setting the table. Aunt May fixed her hair by feel. I checked the mirror and found a face that didn't look older, exactly, but looked like it had learned a new language and wasn't going to forget it. Outside, a car door shut. Another. Footsteps on our walk, familiar and not. The key turned in the lock because of course they still had keys to this house we share. My mother stepped in first, veil gone, hair slightly wilted like a flower after the party. My father behind her, tie loosened, mouth set to lecture. Their eyes found mine and flicked to the phone bowl, then to Grandma and Aunt May flanking me like parentheses. No one spoke. Somewhere down the street, leftover fireworks cracked open the quiet. The room held its breath. I did not. "Before you say anything," I said, voice calm like a just-washed plate, "I'm not taking it down." That wasn't the climax I imagined as a kid when I pictured my parents' wedding. But it was the one we had. And somewhere, beneath all the noise, the truth clicked into place like a seatbelt before a long drive. Final update from OP, throwaway. They stood in the doorway like a wedding photo with the color turned down. My mother's bouquet had been replaced by her phone, my father's boutonniere was a red dot of anger at the base of his throat. "Before you say anything," I repeated, "I'm not taking it down." No one moved. Then Grandma cleared her throat. "Sit," she said. We all did. My mother started. "We never meant to hurt you." "You did," I said. Not loud. Fact level. "It was an adults-only event," my father added, making policy out of preference. "We warned everyone." "Except me," I said. He flinched. "We thought it would be easier." "For whom?" Aunt May asked. My mother pressed her palm to her forehead. "There were complications. Your father's partners, the guest list, alcohol. We wanted a vibe." "A vibe is a playlist," Grandma said. "A child is a person." I breathed in. I asked to sit in the back. "You could have said, we made a mistake. Come." Instead you lied about my health to keep your story tidy. My mother's eyes glassed. "We panicked." "You curated," I said. Something in that word landed. "We can fix this," my father said. "If you take it down, we'll issue a statement. We'll throw a smaller celebration with you. You'll manage optics," I said. "I'm done being your crisis communications intern." Grandma set her tea down. "You taught this child to tell the truth. Tonight she did. Whether you enjoy the consequences is not the standard by which truth is measured." My mother's face crumpled, finally, real tears. "It was supposed to be our day. And I was supposed to be your daughter," I said. Aunt May reached into her purse, slid an envelope to me. "We didn't give our gift at the reception," she said. "Consider this a startup fund for boundaries." Inside was a check. It said, "You are not trapped." My father saw it and something old and scared flared. "You're not moving out," he said too quickly. "I'm moving differently," I said. "Which might include out." Grandma's smile lifted one corner. "Tomorrow," she told my parents, "you will call the pastor and the venue and explain that you used the language of illness to avoid discomfort. Tonight, you will apologize to your daughter without the word but." My mother tried first. "I'm sorry, but..." Grandma lifted a finger. "I'm sorry," my mother said again. "I excluded you. I lied. It was wrong." My father cleared his throat. "I'm sorry I decided a perfect photo was more important than your presence. I am embarrassed. My body, which had been braced for days, sat down inside me. Thank you, I said. I accept the apology. I didn't add, and I will verify it with your behavior. We talked until midnight. We pried open old jars, our house's addiction to presentation, my role as peacekeeper, adult conversation used like a velvet rope. My mother admitted she wanted a glossy magazine day to hand to her critics. My father confessed he feared I'd cry and derail the tone, as if emotions were trains and I was a coin on the track. Why didn't you trust me? I asked. They didn't answer. At 12:17 a.m. The school counselor messaged that she'd seen the post, of course she had, and was available this week. I'll be going, I told my parents. And I'd like family therapy. They agreed in that hesitant way people agree to flossing. Before they left, my mother asked, "Small, can we take a photo? Just us, to remember that we fixed it? Let's remember by what we do next, not what we post," I said. They went home to leftover ribbon. We went to bed in the quiet that follows a storm. Morning, the internet still burning, softer at the edges. Someone stitched my post, my story, the venue caption edit, and a screenshot of my dad's "Be better than this" text, "Thanks, Zoe." Top comment: sometimes being better than this means not pretending it didn't happen. At 9:02, my mother posted a statement she sent me first. Yesterday, in an attempt to control the narrative of our wedding, we excluded our daughter and lied about her health. That was wrong. We are sorry. We will be listening and repairing off the internet. Please do not attack our child, who told the truth. Inside the mess of responses, something shifted. People who'd been rehearsing outrage switched to awkward support. Others put their knives down. The venue messaged me to apologize for amplifying misinformation. Pastor Lee apologized for texting me about the spirit of the day. Sincere and therefore useful. School was a circus. In first period, someone whispered, "That's the girl." The teacher gave a pop quiz so silence could be assigned. At lunch, a group waved me over for the real story. "You already read it," I said, and opened my book. 2 freshmen asked for advice and I told them the only sentence I was sure of: you get to be real even if it ruins someone's caption. The counselor's office smelled like tea bags and hope. When I said family therapy, she nodded like bridges exist. When I said I might graduate early, she showed me a map out of town. "You don't have to use it," she said, "but sometimes knowing the road is there helps you breathe." I took the map. Family therapy didn't fix us. It put a mirror in the room and a timer on our sentences. Some sessions were me learning my interior. Some were all of us, my father stern as a chessboard, my mother softer, me practicing sentences that didn't apologize for existing. We learned repair attempt and owning impact over intention. At home, boundaries sprouted like labeled stakes in a garden. No more adult talk as exile. No more using family first to mean silence first. My parents still made mistakes. They also made amends. One night after therapy, Grandma told me something she'd never said aloud. When my mother was 16, her own mother threw an adults-only engagement party and made my mom pass hors d'oeuvres through the kitchen window so she wouldn't distract. I stood in the doorway and did nothing, Grandma said, eyes wet. I told myself it was her day. I thought endurance was love. She squeezed my hand. I was wrong. Your mother learned curating from me. I told my mom that story. She winced like a bruise being named. I thought I was building a boundary, she said. I was repeating an exit. We sat with that, 3 generations at a table, shame cooling into information. Practical changes happened, too. I opened a small savings account with the envelope from Aunt May. I picked up weekend hours at the bakery near school. The owner, who follows exactly 0 influencers, pays in compliments and an actually decent wage. Dad and I drafted a house agreement, noise, curfew, the difference between privacy and secrecy, so we wouldn't live by vibes alone. Small, boring paperwork that felt like scaffolding instead of a cage. Grandma became a folk hero at church, Aunt May texted memes, Zoe and I ate too many nachos. As for the post, I left it up. I pinned a short edit. Edit/final, thank you to everyone who reached out. My parents apologized publicly and privately. We've started family therapy. I'm safe with family who support me. I won't be giving interviews. If you're a kid who feels like a prop in your family's play, you're not. You have lines. You have a mic, use it kindly, but use it. People still argued about whether I ruined a wedding or saved a future. The truth is more boring and more radical. I told the truth and kept living. Consequences? Thanksgiving will be weird. Some relatives unfriended me, some sent recipes. My father retired from being the guy who runs the slideshow at every event, which is symbolic and a relief. My mother took a break from posting. Slowly, she returned with bread and sunsets, a language that doesn't argue back. Sometimes we still fight. Sometimes I catch her looking at me like a mirror she's learning to admire instead of rearrange. Last week, she asked if I wanted to help pick photos for a small family album of the wedding. I want you to see it, she said, and I want to see it with you. We scrolled on the couch. I didn't feel the urge to Photoshop myself in. She didn't try to crop me out of the room we were actually in. We stopped at a candid, my dad with cake on his chin, my mom's head thrown back. That, I said, is the real vibe. She laughed and cried the same tear. Do I forgive them? Yes. Not like a stamp, like a verb. Daily, situationally, with receipts. Forgiveness doesn't hide the bruise, it decides how you walk on the leg. I still have the test in my drawer, the little plastic rectangle with 1 line and 1 date, proof that once, the truth fit in my hand. I keep it as an artifact and a mile marker. The internet moved on. A week later, I walked to the grocery store and nobody stared. It was glorious. Normalcy is underrated. Sometimes a stranger DMs that they told a truth because I did. One sent a photo of their own negative test next to a note, not sick, just not invisible anymore. Something inside me unclenched. I don't know exactly who I'll be at 18. I know who I was at 17, a girl in a doorway, saying she wouldn't take it down. That girl taught me something I'm writing here for the record. You can love your parents and refuse to be deleted. You can speak up without screaming. You can start a family tradition at midnight, no more lying when the truth is less photogenic. We aren't fixed. We're practicing. Some days we wobble. Some days we nail the landing. Most days we just try again with less pretending and more words that mean what they say.